scumbags.
Yeah.
So I think that's why Mikey P really enjoys playing them.
Because he's a pretentious scumbag.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Eldar, they've done a lot. They've not done anything good for anybody.
No.
Elves.
Yeah.
They did the same thing back in the old world, the elves, didn't they? Something about the thing and the thing that they did. Something about the thing. And then there's dark elves and wood elves and high elves and presumably low elves somewhere. And then you've got Eldar and dark Eldar and stuff. Wherever they are, in any time period, they're just being arseholes, all of them. So I get why you don't like them. I get why you don't like elves and Eldar.
I mean, you know, there should be a club just for them to go to where they can all rub shoulders with each other and all tell each other that, look at my lovely painting, look at my lovely watercolour, I wrote some poetry, and do all their high stuff and leave all the drugs and the alcohol to the rest of us alone, you know?
Yeah.
Leave the debauchery and the crying at home alone in the corner. Leave that to us.
Yeah.
And they can go and watch opera, whatever. You know?
Yeah, because if they do get all the fun stuff, they ruin it for everyone. They literally make gods happen and stuff. So
well, they'll come along and find you crying in your corner, naked, with a tub of Marmite in one hand that you've been feeding to My Little Pony, going, why are you sat there in a corner feeding My Little Pony some Marmite? And you're going, don't judge me. You know, just stay away in your theatre, watching your Henry VIII production or something or other, doing all your high stuff with your clothes and your ties. Don't come down my end. You stay up your end.
Yeah, just because I've got a whole thing of Lurpak and a spatula and I don't have a black light doesn't give you the right to come along and be much taller than me and have pointy ears.
How are they allowed to be taller than everyone as well? Why hasn't anyone generated a fantasy world or a thing where they're teeny tiny? They're small elves.
Yeah.
You know, why are they always the tall ones?
I feel like elves, before Tolkien, elves were like tiny. Because like Santa's elves are rubbish, aren't they? They're basically like gnomes. They're tiny guys. And they were definitely around first. So why did Tolkien decide to make elves tall? Or maybe he didn't. Does he ever say they're tall? I don't know.
Yeah, Galadriel was like 6 foot 2.
Yeah, they're tall.
She's tall, willowy, and all that sort
beautiful
of stuff.
And very beautiful.
Know, not anymore. But back in the real, actual Lord of the Rings real thing.
In the real life or Lord of the Rings,
Thick, pretend TV show. Dear, too many elves out there, you know.
I need to just quickly probe this. Is this saying that you don't like Rings of Power Season 1 and 2, right? Is that?
I couldn't get past the intro of Rings of Power Season 1 where they just made up some crap and said, hey, this is Lord of the Rings. You know, they did that montage bit. And I was watching it like, this is not... It's like someone making up a montage of the Horus Heresy, and it's like, here's Horus, here's the Emperor, and they're making up their own story and their own names of the things. I'm like, that's not Horus, that's not the Emperor. I've seen better fanfic than this on YouTube. Goodbye. When I realised it wasn't an adaptation of Tolkien's work, instead it was some make-believe by some guys with some crayons and post-it notes somewhere in LA... I thought, no, this isn't the show for me.
Yeah.
Adaptations, I quite like adaptations. I'm a big fan of adaptations. But stuff where they just like, yes.
I think they call it a reimagining now.
Do they?
They call it like a reimagining or, it's basically an excuse for, we couldn't think of anything new to do.
Right.
So we're just going to reimagine something that was already good and hope for the best.
Is that what they say?
The way I'm going to put
They say a lot of things. Here's the thing as well. Reimagining Professor Tolkien because they could do it better. I mean, come on now. Let's reimagine one of the most successful, if not the most successful, fantasy genres settings of all time because I can do it better. I bet they were elves. The people who wrote it.
They must have been, That's very elf-like behaviour, isn't it?
Yes.
I really enjoyed season 1 and 2, right?
Did
I
you?
really enjoyed it. But I want to put a caveat on this. Wait. Let me finish. I've discussed this with a group of other
Chris.
Lord of the Rings fans. Listen, I've discussed this.
I didn't know if my opinion of you could get any lower.
Let me finish.
Right, okay.
I discussed this with some other Lord of the Rings fans, and we all agreed that it's not part of our canon. We're not accepting it as part of the Lord of the Rings canon.
Right.
We enjoyed it for what it is, as a nice fantasy show that was reminiscent of Lord of the Rings and had Lord of the Rings characters in it, right?
Lord of the Rings names in it. That's about
but
it.
I'm not going there going, oh yeah, this is what I want to have really happened and all this kind of stuff. No, but I thought it was a good show. I thought it was compelling to watch. It was good.
You gave the algorithm your clicks.
It got my clicks. I don't think it did great in the ratings anyway, so I don't feel like it's my fault.
I don't care. I know what I don't. They keep making it, which clearly someone somewhere thinks it's a good idea.
Yep.
Are you looking forward to season 3 then?
Definitely, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Morfydd Clark as well.
Sell me the Rings of Power then. Tell me why I should watch it. Conversation.
Just because that's how I've been doing, haven't I?
But it doesn't have to be like that. You can change it up. She doesn't know.
Yeah, but it's funnier when it's already like no one knows what we've been talking about just beforehand. We could have been saying anything.
I know.
And then it kind of leads into it. It's like, oh, what were they saying beforehand?
I know. Maybe. But the butter and the spatula, it's a bit much.
I know, but I'm alone. I can do what I want.
Yeah, well, when she's not... Okay. I'm surprised. Yeah, a black light in that room right now would not be a good idea.
You don't want to go there. And I tell you what, Lurpak is bloody expensive.
It is. Do you know butter has gone up in the world? I don't know what they're feeding cows these days, but they're eating better than I am, I can tell you.
Yeah, and they're producing some really... The butter's really good, but damn, it's expensive.
Damn.
And I go through it. In fact, I've become really partial to crumpets, just... absolutely smothered in real butter.
I haven't had crumpets for ages, but when on the crusty surface, I wonder if Americans actually know what a proper crumpet is.
I don't know. Americans, do you know what crumpets are? They're so weird. How do you even explain it? It's like like bread with loads of holes in it.
No, well, they're not even going to know. They're not going to know what that is. They don't even know what healthcare is. How are they going to know what a crumpet is?
Well, that's a bit political, but yeah, it's true. Yeah, isn't it? They don't have healthcare, do they? That's rough.
They don't. It's a dog eat dog world out there, a cat eat cat world out. They super glue their arms back on if they get chopped off by the compactor. That's what
I'd heard. You get hit by a car, you literally have to crawl yourself to it. You have to find a first aid kit and just stitch it back on. It's terrible.
Sellotape yourself back together. To be fair, there's a lot of sellotaping and stapling people back together on this side of the pond. Or you can get healthcare, but you have to wait 17 years, by which time you'll be dead.
Yeah, it's that one. I didn't expect this to have such a political intro.
Is it political? Is it?
It's social commentary on our first world healthcare systems. Yeah, straight away.
Has anyone got a good healthcare system? What about the French?
No, it'll be somewhere like Norway. It'll be those countries have all these really nice things, don't they?
Why are they so sensible over there? They were Vikings once.
Yeah, I know. And now look at them. Now I bet you. They come and pick you up. If you've got the sniffles, someone comes round and like blows your nose for you, dabs your nose, puts the little Vicks thing up there that clears it all out.
Who's putting what up where?
Vicks thing. Yeah, she's always shoving her thing right up there. It's horrible.
I don't want Vic to shove her thing up there.
I have to warn everyone, by the way.
You've got
rabies. You're going to notice. I got the whether it's the COVID or the flu or whatever. I've had it, and I've still got a nasty cough. A nasty cough. So, like the last 3 episodes, one of the two of us has been sniffling or sliming or coughing or whatever throughout.
Dripping from our holes.
Nurgle is strong. This is the in the great game. It's Nurgle's. Right. It's Nurgle's season.
Nurgle is in the ascendancy now.
He's powerful right now.
Yeah.
How have you been though?
Yeah, I almost went outside. That was good. Yeah. Apparently it's going to snow soon, so that's also good. I finished filming an entire series of the Marvelous Adventures of Adenia series with Anya Sedaris. I don't know why Sultan picked such a complicated name for his Inquisitor, but he did. But it's Anya's. And I'm currently editing that.
That's coming.
That'll come out next week for Tier 3 channel members.
Nice.
But I'm thinking about teasing the first one on YouTube. I don't know. We might do that. We'll see. But I really enjoyed playing that one with our young Sultan. He enjoyed it too.
Good.
It was good fun. That was good. What else has happened? Finished watching The Penguin. That was good. How about yourself?
What have I done? I've woken up in the morning.
Yes.
I think that's about it, really.
Okay, that's good.
Gone to bed at night.
Right.
Woken up in the morning. Gone to bed at night. That's mostly what I've been doing.
Okay, that's good.
Oh, I did do something else. I went to Bristol and played the Warhammer the Old World.
That's good, is it?
Yeah, it's a really good game. Where if you were around in 1997 and played,
far too young for that. No, me.
And you played Warhammer Fantasy, it's that again. It's the old Warhammer thing, and we did a thing, and lots of people went and did the thing, and me and Mikey P, who you'll remember from things that Mikey P's done.
Never
You'll have
liked
seen him.
Yeah, never liked him.
Not a great guy,
no.
But me and him ended up being teammates with dwarves and high elves, which was a little bit rude.
See, this is why I don't like the elf thing. Why are they high elves? That implies there are low elves. Aren't we all really, striving for the same thing? And who judges that they're high elves? Do they say, oh, we're the higher elves? Or do other people think, it's right, other people, like the dwarves might look at them and go, actually, no, you're pretty low-born elves from my point of view, the dwarves, which would be quite ironic, seeing as, they can only reach to their knees.
Well, that could be taking it more literally, and they could be high elves because they're quite literally higher up in the air to the dwarves. In the air,
closer to the stars.
But no, all elves, the Rings of Power, should be watched by fans of high fantasy, because whilst it takes a lot of liberties with the Tolkien universe, which it does, it's still enjoyable to watch stories play out that are based within that framework, because it was a great framework to begin with, right? So it's kind of like reading fan fiction, but very expensive fan fiction that's visual and audio based and is well made.
You're saying visual and audio, so it looks pretty.
It looks pretty. It sounds pretty.
Transformers or something. I mean, that looks pretty, but
what the CGI, the newer CGI ones, the Michael Bay ones. Yeah, I can't really get behind those.
I saw a meme on the thing on the phone, where like orcs having feelings and families or something. There was like a baby orc, and no, we don't want to fight. We just what the hell? Orcs are a tsunami of evil and darkness. They're a force of they're corrupted elves from the first age. They're supposed to be this undying plague. Well, not undying plague, but a plague. But they're supposed to be good and bad. What feelings with family?
No, they don't.
What the hell was that meme about?
There's like a half a second where there's a female orc with a orclet, but the orcs are throughout the whole thing evil, cruel creatures. All right, they're not portrayed as nice guys at any point. It's all very sinister, and they represent orcs properly. There's some orcs that all right. This is
so long as they portray
I've lost this fight.
The female dwarfs correctly with beards, because that's why they're so hard to tell apart, because female dwarfs have beards too, which is why often some people think, as Gimli himself say, that there are no female dwarfs, they just spring out of the ground. So long as they do the dwarf female beards, at least that bit they get right?
They had sideburns, quite hefty ones. Okay, well, I think we should stop. I think we should
mutton chop dwarfs.
Mutton chop dwarf ladies. Yeah, I think we should move
Tolkien.
on. Yeah, let's just. I'm sorry we brought this up. What's the other TV show? Have you watched? Have you watched Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities?
No.
Right, watch that one.
I mean, you said Midsommar was good.
Yeah, it is.
Again, one of the worst films of 2022.
Right, if you want to ask us questions,
yes,
you can become a channel member and join our Discord and ask us questions. We have a few questions, which we're going to go to first because we've actually got something we want to talk about today.
Have we?
We do, roughly, vaguely, something like that. But we do have a few questions, and we're going to do it first. So that's crazy, isn't it?
We normally do this at the end.
We normally do this at the end, and if you want to ask questions, please, and if you want to ask good questions, we
don't have any rules. We'll do it at whatever end.
Yeah, we do it whenever. We already said we don't have any rules.
You could do it at the front end. You could do it at the back end.
We need to have a chat with the audience about the questions that are coming in. Right.
The quality is
the quality is low. It's low quality, right?
Yeah.
We don't. I know it sounds fun, but we don't always want to be guessing which regular on Winters is which Primark and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't care who's what. I'm the best one.
Right.
He's the worst one, and Sultan is the smallest one. That's all you need to know. We want to talk about lore, and we need questions that excite our nodules. Right?
Quite frankly, this show should have 100,000 views.
200,000 views.
200,000 views, and it doesn't because the questions we get. It's not our fault. This show
nothing to do with us.
Is a pile of crap. No, it's the members. It's, we blame them.
Why have you done this?
We shouldn't point the fingers, but we are.
Yeah. Why have you done this?
Quite frankly, they should tighten their game up.
Yeah. I want to see the next episode. I'm going to put the call out on a Monday or a Tuesday or whatever morning. I want to see 8 top tier questions. I want to pin 8 questions that in each of those 8. I want to look at and go, yeah, that's a really good question.
You want to be dripping when you read I need to get this answered. I need to go to the Lore Master. Yes, that's what we need. When's the last time you've been dripping?
We've had a few. We've generally had like 1 or 2 good questions for each episode a year. Ever. We've probably had 1 good question ever. But apart from that, we've had some other all right questions. But this week's was we're still going to do some though, because there's a few here that I like that we're going to talk about.
There's a couple.
Then we're going to talk about our other thing.
Right.
And also, the good questions always come from the same people. So maybe the people that ask the bad questions should look at the good questions, people, and ask them to give them a question to give to us.
Yeah. There's a couple of people holding the roof up, holding the IQ up, and a few other people. There's reason why they build special schools, isn't there?
There is, yeah. Let's move really swiftly on from that one.
Okay.
Wrath of Constantine, frequent asker of questions.
He asked a good one once.
He did once. Yeah. This one's all right. It's all right. What is your favourite theme for scenery when setting up a board, and why?
Favourite theme? I'll give that a 6 out of 10.
Yeah,
because that does interest me. Favourite theme? The Ruined City. That's a lovely theme. Ruined City.
Yeah,
I do like setting up boards and things. I like to use. So it's the edge of the board is the canvas, and the board itself is my painting, upon which I create a wonderful creation using the depths of my mind. I like to have a theme. I like to have a point that draws the eye, some open areas, some flat areas, some bits, some woo and some wah. It's painting, creation, making. Yes, like Lego. I like Lego.
Lego.
It takes me about an hour to put it all together. It's quite zen.
Yeah, I personally like the same thing. I like to have a city that looks like it's laid out like a city actually could be.
Yeah.
So you got like streets and buildings. I think it's because a lot of the cool bits from the Horus Heresy books take place in like cityscapes with titans like smashing around and running into buildings and stuff. And I like the idea of putting dudes firing out of windows and things like that. A bit of urban warfare. Yeah. I like that kind of board. Less so. I don't in 40k. I like less so.
Right.
Like forests and stuff.
Right.
Whereas I love that in fantasy. I love a good old forest in fantasy.
Do you like...
Sorry.
Bless you. For a city, do you like lots of birthday cards opened up into L's, spread out randomly? Lots of birthday card scenery.
I mean, that's what all they do in all the GTs and stuff. I prefer like a nice actual sort of footprint of a building, if you can, you know.
Not birthday cards then.
No, because why is it always just one corner? Why? How has that happened?
I don't know.
Sometimes the rest of it doesn't really make sense either. Like you're going, well, that's a corner, but where would the rest of the building? It wouldn't really go there.
Because there's another L. They do an L with another L there, and you're like, that
then
L wouldn't be there. Where's the fire escape?
Yeah,
Where's
like there.
The access?
Yeah, or like there, and it's like, no, that can't be.
Exactly. That's why it burnt down. There was no easy. Yeah.
Poor city planning. This city hasn't even been involved in a war. It's just been poorly built and collapsed on itself.
Yeah, Gulliman would be very upset.
Yeah, but I also like scatter. I like a nice bit of scatter.
I do like a stone.
A good stone, yeah. Or I was thinking more like sandbags and barricades, and it's like if you're moving down the street towards each other. Yeah. I think vehicles look great when there's nice big streets to move down. You've got tanks coming down a street, and I love it. And it's theatre. It's theatre of the mind plays out on the table as well. I'm like, oh yeah, my guys are moving down, trying to sweep this street down. It's not just, I'm playing 40k and I'm trying to win the objective.
Yeah. And if there's lots of stones on the street, it takes quite a bit of sweeping to get them.
Lots of sweeping to sweep the street. Yeah. So that's my... What's your favourite one, Wrath of Constantine? Probably a city environment as well, I'd say. Probably. The next question is from Runtherder.
Someone's got to do it. It's a dirty job. Literally.
It is.
Yeah.
But you can always bosh them on the head. You're allowed to hit your runts, aren't you?
You definitely are. And shock bowl them.
And do all kinds of stuff.
And
probably
eat them if you're a bit peckish.
Yeah, I was going to say. It comes with perks.
Yeah.
Runtherder says, should random game length become a thing again?
Well, it is in other systems.
Yep.
So it still exists. So here's the thing. So it's a deeper question, Runtherder. It's a deeper question. What you're really asking is for more ways to play 40k. That's what you're asking. Because there's this way. How about another way? How about another? And the answer to your question is there should be many more ways to play 40k. There should be the tournament pack way, which is fixed, and it's the 5 turns, and this is what you do, and here's your tournament pack, and here's the restrictions. You're playing in the CDL, your phase clan for Call of Duty. You're doing your search and destroy. You're doing your domination. There's certain restrictions on the guns, certain comp builds. That's how you play for that 5 turns. And there should also be some random game length games which are more narratively focused and casually focused. There should also be a Maelstrom of War deck for that random element for people. So the answer is yes, and it's not yes or. It's not like it should have this or that. It should have this and this and this from Games Workshop. But Games Workshop don't do that because Games Workshop is... Enter something here. Games Workshop is. Write that in the comment section below without using any swear words. Games Workshop is...
And that will be our secret code for this episode as well.
Yeah, secret code.
If you made it this far,
you're a legend.
Yeah. Most people haven't. So it puts you in a special club. Most people tuned out 3 or 4 minutes in. Yeah. And if you're part of the special club, what is Games Workshop? Games Workshop is, and we're not here to be negative. Don't just say, don't just, don't just, you know what?
Would be nice. Wake up in the morning, check on my phone. Games Workshop is. I love it. We can see the imagination. We can find out whether they could better than the questions. We'll see how far they go with that one. I mean, it's a low bar.
It is, yeah. You're going to be fine no matter what you write. Write whatever you want. It's fine. I personally think I like random game lengths when it's... If it's a perfect storm, right? If everything goes right and it's really nail-bitingly close, and you don't know whether you're going to get that extra turn or not, and it's like, okay, at present I am 3 points ahead, but if there's another turn, you've got a chance to bring it back. Yeah, and I could lose this, and then it's like someone's got to roll to see if it's the next turn.
Yeah,
and I'd like it if there was some theme to that, like you're fighting in an area with an unstable reactor, and it's like you're going to have to pull out at a certain point. That would be awesome.
Randomness in 40k is something that they've removed over time. Yes. But I like the explosions. I like the hazardous checks. I like the random I like the randomness. It's supposed to be fun, and random things happen. And the more random, the more funner. I think
randomness allows people to let some of the pressure off of themselves,
adapt on the fly as well.
Yeah, but it can be quite a tense game when two people are competing against each other in a very strict rule set, right?
Yes.
If there's random stuff, you can always turn around and laugh with each other and go, "Oh well, there's nothing that can be done there." Oh, that's just how it turned out. It exploded and all my guys died. That was funny though, right?
Yeah.
It gives you an option.
Yeah.
We've got two more.
Okay.
The next one is from Tomo91, and I actually do like this. Is one of the questions that I do like because it's something that needs to be discussed a bit, and it's towards the hobbying side of it. So Tomo91 asks, do you prefer the old school posable GW kits to the newer, more dynamic but less posable kits? Can I start this? I'd like to answer this one to begin with.
Hit me baby one more time.
So I was thinking about this. The new models, the new designs are fantastic, right? They across the board, most new kits that Games Workshop releases are really good. The plastic kits they release, I'm a big fan of them. Yeah. I was thinking about this with orcs, right? The new Orc Boy kit is a great looking orcs, fantastic faces, really cool looking orcs. They are so restricted that they don't really even make a proper unit. They're so monopose and restricted. You get a certain amount of shooters, you get a certain amount of chopper slugger boys, and it doesn't equal out. You have to do some converting, right? So I have several boxes of the old boy kits, which were the old GW kits were so full of extra bits everywhere. The sprues were just full of all kinds of things you could just stick on everywhere. The arms were ball socket arms, so you could have them however you wanted. They weren't always the greatest looking, but you could do what you wanted. There was so much room for expressing your orc boys, of which you had many.
Okay.
The new kit does not lend itself to a big swarm of orc boys all kind of forced to look in the same direction. So I had to do a lot of cutting to make each boy look different. But the old boys are certainly nowhere near visually as appealing as the new ones. They've got really good faces, the new ones. So I think it's a bit of both. It's what we need is the new sculpts with a little bit more posability. We need a bit more. I love dynamic poses, but not on every infantryman.
Okay.
What do you think?
Nice. What do I think? I come back from the Rogue Trader days. There was literally a section in Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. That's first edition for those young whippersnappers out there. There was literally a section in the main rulebook that said, and here's how you might go about making your own scratch-built models from the ground up.
From a Pringles tube.
From a Pringles tube or from a deodorant stick. This is how... We don't provide these models, but there was a section on how you might make them and apply rules to them. Hey, you could make your own thing. So modelling is, in its basic sense, sticking stuff together. Modelling, in its more complex sense, is also a creative process as well, whether it's monopose or lots of different... If they give you lots of different options, great. If they don't give... It's modelling. Welcome to modelling. What do I mean, the new models are amazing. The new stuff, they make the best models in the world, and Be'lakor is just top tier.
Be'lakor's so good.
The new Space Marines are clearly taller and bigger and have got more bits hanging off them than my Horus Heresy Space Marines, but Horus Heresy Space Marines I compose in different ways. Yeah. But am I chopping up my... I don't care. I don't care. I'm a hobbyist. If I want to change something, regardless of whether it's a Heresy one or another one, I'll change something. If I want to talk to Orc players, they'll do all their... I know I should care. I know some people feel very passionate about the multi-flexibility or lack thereof of certain kits and things like that. Yeah. But I'm so very old that I remember lead and the hacksaw
it's hard. Lead,
and trying to chop the thing off to put a nut. I mean, I listen to people complain about the monopose of Nor kits and say, I have got scars. I have 4 stitches down there. No, children, no. No, you don't get to ask those questions. Are you a hobbyist? I do care. Are you a hobbyist or not? Are you hobbying and crafting and creating something? Or what are you doing with if you're... No. Yes. I care. I care about people who care about these things. But for me, I don't care. It's there, and I'll create what I want to create with the things that are in front of me. And is it easier or is it harder? It's much, much, much easier than it used to be. Much.
It is, yeah.
A long time ago.
It got easier, then it's got a little bit harder again, because some of the monopose stuff is crazy. So I made a custom Emperor's Champion, and the amount of work I had to do on that to get him from stabbing a sword into an orc on the ground to having a sword above his head, had to just cut, to use different hands from everything. And
have you met Sultan from Sultan Plays YouTube channel? Have you met him?
Never met him before.
He turns up here all the time with blood angels with real wings on their backs, or tanks with huge bunkers built on the back and flag. He is conversion crazy. He's only known the good stuff, and he mods it to all hell. See, I don't need to do too much modding, because people turn up here all the time with lovely modded stuff all the time. I did some on my Necrons, I did some on the thing, I did some, and I get to see it all, and I'm thinking, is it hard? Is it really hard? I see lots of it all the time. I feel like whoever has a problem with the thing, with the stuff, I feel like, are they really trying? Are they?
Yeah.
Are they?
So can we go back to the question quickly, which is...
Maybe they should try harder.
Which one do you prefer?
What?
The new dynamic kits or the old modular, more posable kits? Which one do you prefer? If you had to pick.
Are better than the old man. Have you ever tried to assemble an old land speeder? And they redid that sprue, by the way, because I'm talking about old plastic land speeders from 3rd edition, where you used to have to put milliput down the side to try and get it to stick together, because it wouldn't stick together. It was so bad that they redid the land speeder in 5th edition, and then it lasts from 5th edition to 9th edition, and now they've legended it. So it went from so bad to okay, and now they've killed... the kits, you can actually glue together a kit now, which is good. Back in the day, in my day, children, you couldn't even glue together. 7 miles to the pit, and I worked in the pit 23 hours a day, and all I had was an onion for dinner, and I'd come home. I couldn't shower. It was outside in the garden with a bucket of cold water. That's all it was in my day.
In my day,
the models are much better now.
Yeah, I had to assemble the Wood Elf Dragon, which was all made of metal, all made of lead. As a child with no dexterity, you know what I mean? You don't have the dexterity. I didn't have a pin vise or any of this shit, and I was told to glue 2 massive lead wings onto the back of this thing. Wow! And super glue just doesn't cut it. I don't even know how I did it, but
my girlfriend,
they were on.
When I was 16, saw the Greater Spine Dragon and a picture of White Dwarf and said, "I want that for my birthday," and I bought it and stuck that together, and that was more milliput than lead by the end of it. It was all lead.
And then did she break up with you after that? Was that the...
Yeah, that was... We don't...
Yeah, we don't talk about that. That's fine.
That was...
Anyway, the answer to your question, Tomo, is you don't even know what you've got.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't know. I mean,
Tomo didn't express
what?
One way or the other.
Right.
But we're just going to assume that they were going to...
Okay. Well, maybe he is an awesome miniist painter. But put it this way. So long as we've upset at least a few hundred people, definitely. I'm happy.
Yeah. We've definitely... 62 people have just unsubscribed.
I mean, there's this one from Stranger Come Knocking Hobbies. Check him out on Instagram.
Yeah, please do. He's made me a lovely... Yeah.
I mean, look at that piece of conversion work with a new kit.
Yeah.
I mean, the man is an absolute genius. Finished painting it, by the way. Looks gorgeous. I painted it for Alex's World Eaters Army. That's a Master of Executioners, if you could believe it or not.
It's beautiful.
But he's an absolute G.
Yeah, he's done me a really, really lovely Night Lord's Terminator
Has he?
Lord, and I haven't painted it, and I feel like I'm just the worst.
You absolute
person.
Arsehole. Couldn't do that with a lead model, though, could you?
No,
you
couldn't.
Do that with a lead model.
Just quickly, okay, I want to move on from this, but just quickly,
Right.
I also I wanted to make a chaplain with a jump pack, and I had a chaplain on a bike who was made of metal, and I had to use a hacksaw to cut him off at the waist, and it took it was awful, and I probably breathed in so much lead, and then I had to glue that to a pair of metal legs that were like in a jump pose and put a jump pack on him. Jeez.
Yeah. That's a proper hobbyist thingy bob there.
The last question that we have is from... Okay, this is an important one.
Is it really?
So this is from Soul Hunter, right? Soul Hunter was one of the first people to respond to my call to arms to join Free Terror on Tacticus. We're still going strong, by the way. Getting bigger and bigger. Every week we're like leveling up, getting more people in, killing more Hive Tyrants and Tervagons, and we've killed Rogaldorn tanks. We've killed Gazgul Thraka. We've beaten. We haven't got to Magnus and Mortarion and all that yet, but we've been doing well. We've killed lots of stuff. Soul Hunter turned up. Great. Soul Hunter asked a question. The question was the first question they asked was what's your favourite character in Horus Heresy or something? I'm like, we've answered that before. I'm pretty sure we've answered who's your favourite Horus Heresy character.
Probably Garrow or Malcador or Lotaris Aaron.
Yeah, and I think I said Sevatar.
Or Old Pearson.
Sevatar. I just love Sevatar.
That sounds like an answer I would give, like 5 answers. Loken, obviously.
Yeah. So your favourite character is John Grammaticus, right? And mine is Sevatar.
Old Pearson when it comes to the Perpetuals. I do like Grammaticus as well. A lot of people don't, but I like Grammaticus.
He's right. He's a good lad. So I quickly went into the game.
Euphrated Keeler, she's pretty cool.
Euphrated Keeler's cool.
Yeah.
I like a lot of the remembrances and the regular folk because you get to see things through their eyes.
That's why I like Lotara Saren, the red mark from the Conqueror. She's amazing. Pulls a gun out, shoots a space marine in the head, a champion space marine in the head.
Damn.
Gets away with it too.
Wow, there you go. So I went on to the game. I said, Soul Hunter.
Yeah.
We've already had that question. I really want to read out one of your questions though, because you've done us a solid. You've joined the thing, and he puts in serious work as well. By the way, Soul Hunter.
Yeah. So we didn't answer the previous question.
So we didn't answer.
No.
The next question, I'm pretty sure we've answered this one as well, but I didn't have the heart to tell him a third time.
Okay.
So the question this time, we have to pretend that it's really good. All right.
Okay.
Do you think the Imperium of Man will inevitably fall? If so, what major cataclysms will cause this? We've definitely talked about Tyranids eating the Imperium Man.
That's the best question I have ever heard. It just flew into my brain pan like a flying goose. It was...
Yeah. Thanks, Soul Hunter. That's the kind of question we were waiting for.
I'm stun locked into incontinence. I can't possibly answer that.
Yeah. I think previously we've said that Tyranids will do that, and then we said Necrons will outlive that. We've definitely touched on this quite heavily, maybe more than once.
Yeah.
So let's come up with a different answer.
Right.
Yes, it will fall to the Orcs.
The Orcs are going to win. They're the biggest threat. They'll win.
Yes, Gazgul is going to get the size of a planet, and he'll just eat Terra.
Yeah.
He'll eat Terra. He'll just float. He'll swim around in the space, eat Terra. Bam. The Imperium ripples outwards. Gilliman is so upset that he commits seppuku, the old Japanese.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the Imperium will go into the warp and become demons.
Facts, because orcs fight, which
and
means
they get
orcs
bigger.
win.
Yeah.
So orcs win because they fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have actually talked so much garbage today.
Right.
That we've been doing this for 40 minutes, and the thing we actually wanted to talk about, we've now only left ourselves a brief amount of time for.
Okay.
So we better get. I think we should get onto it.
Let's get onto it.
Right. Who? Raise your hand here if you like the Horus Heresy.
That's 100%.
100% of participants here. We decided that we were going to talk a little bit about not the Horus Heresy game itself, but actually the list building aspect of it. And the reason why we want to talk about this is because I, having never played before, am assembling a Horus Heresy army on the side. I'm assembling all the armies on the side, but I've actually got quite a bit. I've actually got quite a bit of this painted as well as I went through with you earlier. So I needed to know. I'm going to a Horus Heresy event, and I needed to know what I should be working towards finishing for this.
Yes.
So I came up with a list.
Yes.
I sent it to Winters,
and
who's played a lot of Horus Heresy. He said it was shit. We're going to go through the list that I came up with. I'll tell you why, and then Winters is going to tell you how it would change. And the idea of it is we want to hopefully give you a bit more of an idea if you're also thinking of getting into Horus Heresy and thinking of writing your first list. You can see what my stupid brain thought, and you can see how you'd approach it from a bit more experience. So
we are hoping that this actually might be educational. This might be the first time we say something that might actually help someone ever in 25 episodes of the STC. This might help you.
Yeah, but if it does help you, don't mention it in the comments. Right. Don't tell us, because then we know that we've served some kind of purpose, and that might cause more harm than good.
Yeah.
Now, you can if you want, but we'll see. I'm going to start by telling you my list. We'll go through it just quickly.
Iron Warriors.
It's Iron Warriors.
Yeah.
So
Warsmith Chris.
I am Warsmith
in the
Chris.
Name.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the things I realised with what I had left of my 40k army is I did have some things which were actually meant for Horus Heresy. For example, I had a Leviathan Siege Dreadnought. I had some Predators which can... And they're not Deimos pattern, these two, but I have some more Deimos pattern ones. Basically, I had some things that already gave me a head start. So, the way Horus Heresy works is that your chosen legion has a few different things that you can apply to it to customize it if you wish, but it kind of forces you down a certain force organization chart. So for the Iron Warriors, the one I was interested in playing was the Hammer of Olympia, which essentially changes all your bolt guns to... Oh, there's fireworks going off.
Someone's killing someone.
Yeah, it's either gunshots or fireworks.
Sounds like Swindon.
It changes all your bolt guns to shrapnel bolters. So
definitely Swindon.
I decided I was going to play around this idea that the Iron Warriors are going to walk out there with shrapnel bolters going pow, 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 attempting to pin everybody on the table and make them feel bad.
Yes. So,
to start off with, you have to have a Warsmith. So I have a Warsmith in Cataphracti armor, which is the tough guy Terminator armor, not Tartaros. Cataphracti armor with a servo arm, blah blah blah, and to go alongside him, a Master of Signals, a Centurion, which I thought was going to help me like block out deep striking dudes, because I didn't want to have someone like Blood Angels or deep striking Night Lords or something, or whoever is deep striking, suddenly appearing amongst all my stuff. So that was my reason for picking those two HQ choices.
Hammer of Olympia, one of the restrictions is you have to bring a Warsmith.
You have to have a Warsmith.
And for your second HQ, you can bring 3. You're thinking, okay, let's have some deep strike restrictions with a Master of Signals.
Yes.
Yes. Seems to make sense. Okay.
I'll carry on then we'll go through. Yeah. All right. Then, so I need to skip past elites because we'll come back to that in a second. So then for troops, I thought, why not have 60 bloody tactical marines with shrapnel bolters who will just literally march across the battlefield, firing away with the support of some apothecaries, right?
Yeah. And it was, when you say 60, it wasn't 6 units of 10.
No.
You picked 3 units of 20.
That's right.
And didn't put a Vexilla in any of them.
No, I couldn't afford it.
So you had 3 scoring options. Which is your problem right there.
Right.
I know I've said in the past minimum 3 scoring units, but I've changed my mind on that.
Oh.
Minimum 5 scoring units in games of Horus Heresy. If you could potentially try and make every single one of your infantry units score.
How do you make a scoring unit in Horus Heresy? What
So
qualifies
they need to have
unit?
line. There are 8 troop choices. 4 of them are you can just pick in your troop slot.
Yeah.
Some of the line options, like reconnaissance marines, are support units. They still have line, but because they're support units, you can't put them in your compulsory troop slot because there's 2 compulsory slots.
Okay, right, yeah.
So only the ones that can go in the compulsory slots have to have line from troops and not be support units. But anything that has line, and there's lots of ways to get line. Normally, monkeying with your force org is a way to get line. Monkeying with your force org says, hey, these guys who would normally be elites, you can take them in troops and they gain line. That's one way to do it, but your Rite of War doesn't do that.
No.
Another way to do that is heralds with banners.
Okay.
They get a herald with a banner has line. When they attach to a unit, that unit scores. They gain line. And when that unit dies and you've got your herald left, you can run off and join another unit. A herald is another way to do it. And another way to do it is command squads. A nice, easy way to do it. A command squad with your HQ, because they come with a banner as well and they score. So, minimal 5 scoring units. If those troops, not that we're sticking with your list, but 6 units of 10 would have been much better than 3 units of 20. Here's the reason why, for people out there wondering. Big unit of 20 is nice if you're keeping them at the back on a home field objective or move blocking with them. But when you've got more than 2 units of 20, I've found after playing many games of Horus Heresy, they'll get in the way of each other. There'll be choke points, there'll be things. And not only will they get in the way of each other, but their board presence isn't as much as having 6 units of 10. You can spread out much further with 6 units of 10 and block corridors. You can block the deep strikes that you're worried about. You could have 10 here and 10 there and clearly block a deep strike in the backfield just by 10 Space Marines dying rather than 20 Space Marines dying, because 20 Space Marines would die just as easily to all the deep striking Terminators that you're worried about.
Yes.
As 20 Space. So 6 units of 10 will always be better. Then actually, a way to do it if you want a big blob would be a unit of 20 and then 4 units of 10 would be nice. But I've done that as well.
What does the
3 units of 20?
What does the Vexilla bring to the table as well?
The Vexilla is +1 for combat resolution, which only really kicks in if you're fighting other tactical marines as that. But what it does is when you fall back, you only fall back 1d6, not 2d6, and you can't fall back off the table. If you hit the table, you'll stop, so you don't lose that scoring opportunity, that scoring unit.
Right, so having a unit of 20 without a Vexilla was potentially put me in a situation where someone could maybe nudge them off the table and lose a huge unit.
You lose 25% of them. You fall back 2d6 inches because no Vexilla, and if you're close to the board edge and roll a 7, 8, 9,
it's
and you're 7, 8, 9, they're gone. They're all gone. A Vexilla means 1d6 and can't fall off the table edge.
Okay.
If you're bringing a large, you don't need Vexillas in all your tactical squads or spoiler squads or things like that. But if you're designing some for backfield sitting or move blocking up the front, Vexillas are essential. If you're designing a unit of 10 that's speeding on in a Rhino to camp on an objective coming on the end, then you don't need Vexillas in them. But ultimately, if you're move blocking up the front or holding at the back, Vexillas essential. Okay.
I mean, that's huge already for me kind of understanding. So we're going to go through Winter's new version of the list in a minute, and you'll understand.
Yes. So we had 60 troops.
So we had 60 troops with some apothecaries.
Yes.
Then we had, in our heavy support, we had 3 heavy support slots. We had 1 Leviathan with the Siege Claw and a Cyclonic Melter Lance. We had 2 Predators in a single squadron with the Magnum Melter Cannons and Shrapnel Cannons on the side. And then we had 1 unit of 5 Tyrant Siege Terminators, who are the Iron Warriors special unit. They are basically Cataphracti Terminators with a big rocket launching unit stuck to their back.
So your list was 2 HQs, 3 units of troops, and 3 heavy support slots.
That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah, and the Predators were almost a good idea, but you put the shrapnel cannons on the side.
Yeah.
The Leviathan is a good idea, and the Tyrant Siege Terminators is also a good idea, but there's only 5 of them.
Yes. They're very expensive. So I'll tell you what my mind...
There's a reason why they're very expensive.
Yeah. So in my...
Very good.
My soft brain, right?
Yes.
This is how I saw it. I saw it as... We have 60 troops that are basically the entire midboard. They're just walking forward, just constantly firing at everything, right?
Yep.
As a slow advance through the battlefield, and then they'd be backed up by the Predators and Leviathan that would kind of march along with them. And then the Tyrant Siege Terminators would lock themselves in somewhere with a Master of Signals to block deep strike directly onto them, and they'd just sit there firing away frag and crack missiles.
Yeah.
After a brief bit of kind of listening to what you're saying, I already understand why that's probably quite a terrible idea.
Those tactical Marines, they're gonna get assaulted because they're up front by something that can assault.
Yes.
Terminators or veterans or rampagers or dawnbreakers or whatever. Something, an assaulty unit wants to come forward and assault, and they're tactical Marines. You know what sweeping advances in Horus Heresy, right?
Is that where you get to keep going on to the next target?
So if you lose a combat, so I mean, say I kill a couple of yours, but you kill 10 of mine, then we take a leadership test, which you will obviously fail because you lost 10 and I only lost a couple. So you lose the leadership test. Yes.
Yeah.
I've assaulted your 10 guys with something that's proper assaulty. Your 20 guys with something that's proper assaulty. You fail your leadership test. Then what we do is we roll a dice and add our initiative to that dice roll. And if mine is higher than yours, it doesn't matter if you've got 16 left or 10 left. The whole lot get picked up.
It's like being overrun in fantasy. Yeah.
Swept. Sweeping advance. And they're just tactical Marines.
Yeah, okay.
They will be swept by an assault thing.
Interesting. Okay. So perhaps one of the things that that I didn't understand about Horus Heresy is that it is very killy, right? It's a killy game because there's a lot of killy stuff.
Yes and no. Yes. It's a game of extremes. You know, the extremes that they've ironed out of 40k is a game of extremes. So obviously if you're hitting something around, but it's also incredibly balanced because the Predators and Leviathans and troops that you have access to, I also have access to.
Yes.
And obviously a Predator on Predator sort of cancels each other out. A Leviathan on a Leviathan will kill each other. Tactical and tactical will slap each other for a few turns, and they're quite some of the funnest fights, just tacticals and tacticals going for it. So in the middle, it's incredibly balanced. On the edges, though, you can get this really big thing hitting a really small thing, like a Warlord Titan hitting something smaller.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what the smaller thing can do. It will absolutely... There are things in Heresy which will absolutely decimate other things because that balance hasn't been ironed out, and that's one of the gloriousnesses of playing it. It's managing to position yourself to pull off those moments where you get to do that, and reacting when your opponent does that to you. Oh man, they managed to pull that off. That flank's collapsed. How do I deal with that flank now? That flank's collapsed.
Okay, because I guess we're everybody's Space Marines. There are some other options, but most of the time everybody's Space Marines. So I guess it is about leveraging the small elements of your force that are different and that are unique. And I guess for me that would be my Tyrant Siege Terminators, right?
And you've got 5 of them.
So that's why you want 10 of them, because you need, when you do get that punch, I need to have it needs to punch, right?
Yes.
Should we have a look at your list? Let's have a look at your list, because I think that's better than...
I'll explain. I got it in front of me.
Cool.
I've got a Tartarus Terminator Warsmith, not a Cataphractii Terminator Warsmith, in a command squad in a Land Raider, so they score.
Yes.
Then I've got an Armistos with 10 Tyrant Siege Terminators and a Herald.
Yeah.
So they score.
Yeah.
And then I kept Predators, but I changed the loadout. I put 2 Leviathans in. I put some recon squads, some tactical squads, and a Contemptor in it as well. So the way it starts is, let's start at the top.
Yes.
Tartarus Terminator. So I've found... Your Warlord your warlord in a the reason why I started with your warlord in a Land Raider is because your Iron Warriors and an Iron Warrior Warsmith in a Land Raider would look so freaking cool.
Yes.
There's a 5-man command squad with him. They're all Tartarus. He's got a banner, Land Raider with the hazard stripes on. Amazing. It would look beautiful. It gives a target for the enemy to deal with, and it's still a Land Raider. I'd put all the las cannons on the Land Raider. I'm putting them in Tartarus though, which means he's only got a 5-up invulnerable save instead of a 4-up invulnerable save, because they can run.
Yes.
And the power of being able to run in your command squad means your warlord is more likely to stay alive than if he's slow in a cataphracti squad, because you don't want to lose your warlord, because in Horus Heresy giving up your warlord actually gives your enemy points.
Yes.
So surprisingly, unless you're attaching like your warlord to a big unit of 10 Terminators or to a big if you're putting them in a command squad, I found that the Tartarus command squad better. There's more survivability there, even though a 5-up instead of a 4-up and bun, because of movement, and movement wins your game.
Yes.
I want to give your warlord as well. He comes with the servo arm.
Yep.
Give him a pair of lightning claws. So he's got 4 attacks. 2 for the lightning claws is 6 attacks, and the servo arm is 7 attacks. And what you can do is attack everything. So what you can do is do 6 attacks with the lightning claws at initiative 5 if you need to just shred chaff, and then with 1 additional attack with the servo arm at the end of the fight. Or you can put all 7 attacks through the servo arm. You can pick a weapon.
Oh.
So the servo arm gives you an additional attack with the servo arm, but what you can do in the rules is you can pick a close combat weapon and do all your attacks that way. Or a close combat weapon and do all your attacks. In fact, that's what you should do.
Okay.
So what you're doing is, instead of a Praetor with a standard 4 attacks, he's got 6 attacks with the lightning claws. That gives him 2 extra attacks. And the servo arm is a base 7 attacks at strength 8, weapon skill 6. He's a beast. On the charge, he's going to have 8 attacks.
Okay.
Weapon skill 6, strength 8, AP2, doubling out stuff. He's going to be an absolute beast. And the Tartarus guys that are with him are mainly there for wounds. I would put a hammer on the banner guy, because the banner guy is the last guy you're going to take away, and hammers are brutal too. And then all the other guys you can keep it cheap, keep maxes, but you could give them all power fists as well. But ideally you want to keep it cheap, because your hammer and your warsmith are going to be doing all the killing, and they're going to score. And a Land Raider's cool. You don't have to have the Land Raider. You can have them running around on foot in the backfield or wherever they need to be. They're a middle of the board thing, and they can move right, they can move left. You're not sending them straight up there. You're probably keeping them middle, ready to respond in turn 3, turn 4, turn 5. People won't want to charge that unless they've got a really assaulty thing that wants to hurt it. So there's your Warsmith in there with the Nugget in a Land Raider. What do you think of them apples, Warsmith, Chris?
I mean, that sounds amazing. I'm a little bit worried about the idea that we're cheesing essentially 7 attacks out of something that's only 1. But if everyone's doing that, if that's how it works,
you get 6 attacks with lightning claws and a servo arm.
Yep.
Or 7 attacks with a servo arm. Basically, I've done it on my Iron Father for the Iron Hands. Because he's got the whole mechadendrite coming out with the claws, with the things. The way I imagine it is he's got all the tools. He's a warsmith. He's got all the tools and all the attacks and all the things. And he's disassembling, pulling apart, either with his claw. You can imagine the claws going in and picking the stuff apart.
Yeah, and then the servo arms like grabbing them and stuff.
He's just pulling it all apart. You want your warlord to be a beast.
Yes, you do, yeah.
If you have to bring a warsmith, and if he comes with a servo arm, why not give him more attacks?
Yes.
Because you're going to go up against named guys who have a bajillion attacks anyway. Normally, Praetors have 4, but there's a lot of named guys that might have, like Abaddon's got 5, and with his loadout 6 on the charge 7, so Abaddon's got 7. So there's loads of guys that have a lot of attacks. Why not give your warlord lots of attacks?
Well, I'm down for that, and I'm down for an Iron Warrior's Warsmith to be killy when he's fighting people.
Boom. A killy Iron Warrior Warsmith with a guy, with a banner, with a hammer.
I like...
And 4 other guys with him who are basically wounds for them.
Yeah, and I like the banner now that it makes it a scoring unit, so I can get work done with my Warsmith and his entourage. No, I like that. That's very good.
Yeah, that Legion standard gives everyone within 6 inches of them leadership 10.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
So that's nice. And I'd put it in a Land Raider.
Yeah. And if we don't take the Land Raider, it does free up quite a lot of points for more stuff, but
yes,
you've got
the other
those
reason
options.
why I've got the Land Raider as well is, here's the other thing about it, is because I've filled up the heavy slot. There are 2 Leviathans, 2 Predators, and a Tyrant Seed Terminators. That's your 3 heavy slot done. And you can bring the Land Raider as dedicated transport, not as a heavy slot, with the command squad.
Yes.
So normally a Land Raider is in the heavy slot. So you've basically got 4 heavies when you only have 3 slots. And the reason why I've done that is because of Iron Warriors. Your Legion trait is you shoot better against vehicles, buildings, automata.
Yes.
So all of the legions in Horus Heresy either have a buff in the shooting phase or have a buff in the fight phase, and there's 2 that have buffs in the movement phase, White Scars and Death Guard. But apart from White Scars and Death Guard, everyone else is in the shooting or fight phase, right?
Yep.
Which means your legion, when you look at it, either wants to shoot or wants to fight.
Yep.
Iron Warriors, if they're not shooting stuff, they're normal Space Marines. They don't have any buffs.
I get it,
And so if you get assaulted by World Eaters, Emperor's Children, Sons of Horus, anything that's choppy, they're going to have an advantage on you in the fight phase.
Yes.
So you want to keep them at range, shooting them for as long as possible and kill all their vehicles and kill all their dreadnoughts, because you get +1 strength when you're shooting at all their vehicles and dreadnoughts.
Yes.
So that's why I filled the heavy slot with up, and that's why I put a Land Raider there as well. Essentially 4 more guns and a fun bus, which will look really cool with your thing, because you want to shoot as much as possible to take advantage of your Legion trait. It's not just taking advantage of the rules. The rules are telling you that's what Iron Warriors did.
Yes.
Big guns from range as much as possible.
Blasting with a bit. So I think that's a really important thing for people watching this to, first of all, keep in mind. As a little piece of advice, look at your Legion trait, or for what you've got.
Yeah.
And look at what phase it's affecting, and then realise, yes, anything that isn't using that advantage is a regular Space Marine. Because I hadn't really thought about it that way.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot more sense. I need more guns, because that's where I get my advantage.
I'm doing the Iron Hands right now. Iron Hands get -1 strength when you shoot at them.
Yeah.
So if they are anything that's not a vehicle, which means they're not better at shooting. They're not better in close combat, but they're better when they're getting shot at. So they want to get shot at. They don't ever want to be in close combat.
Yeah.
They don't wanna, so Iron Hands are a similar thing. They want to be shooting all the time. Iron Warriors. What does your Legion specialize in? Try and make that sing.
Yes.
Iron Warriors need guns. Your las cannons coming out of your Land Raider are strength 10 sundering las cannons when they're pointing at other tanks. You realise that a las cannon firing at a flare-shielded Cerberus or a flare-shielded Typhon or a flare-shielded Spartan, on the front it's armour 15, las cannons are strength 9. They can only glance at. They can't even penetrate some of the big tanks that you're going to be facing, because even las cannons are only strength 9 unless you're Iron Warriors. You'll be strength 10. You'll be going through flare shields with those las cannons.
I understand why I want those las cannons now. Yeah.
Yes. Which is why in your Predator slot, let's switch to the other heavy. You put Magna melters on them.
Yeah.
And las cannons. I would put all las cannons on your Predators.
Yeah.
I have 2 Predators and las cannons. 48-inch range, moving around at the back. And that's 8 las cannon shots. If you're not bringing the Land Raider for your Tartarus squad running around, your command squad, then bring a 3rd Predator. Have 3 Predators in a squadron at the back. Another reason for bringing people don't think squadrons are strong, because when you're applying all the wounds and all the hits from all the hull points, it'll degrade one of the Predators at a time before it gets to the next Predator.
Oh, so you hide 2 Predators behind the first?
No. The way, I mean, your Predators are gonna take shots.
Yeah.
And they're gonna get cover saves because they're going to be at the back, and you're probably going to be shrouding them, so they'll have a 6-up cover save, a 5-up shrouding as they get hit. And then when they do hull points and hull points and hull points to a Predator, you don't spread that across the squadron. It all kills one model first.
Yeah.
So it's not that you're hiding the other ones, it's just that if anything gets through, it kills a Predator before it kills the other Predator.
Yeah, it's not... Yeah.
So more las cannons. Let's get those strength 10 las cannons in there, because one of the things that you overlooked in your... What's your right of war again?
Hammer of Olympia,
Gives
them my bolt guns.
Actually does 2 things.
Yes.
So Iron Warriors want to be shooty. We've established that, right?
Yep.
And the other thing is Hammer of Olympia, which does two things. One, it gives your bolt guns shorter range but pinning.
Yes.
But that side of the Rite of War is a lie, because bolt guns aren't very good against power armored Space Marines. So you're going to get some shots in, but hitting on 3s, wounding on 4s with a 3-up save, they're saving 2/3 of all the shots that come through. I mean, look, mass bolt guns, mass reactors firing at some stuff can kill some stuff, but it's not really killing Terminators. It's not really killing Dreadnoughts. It's not. It's really only killing other stuff in other power armor, and occasionally it might be forcing pinning tests, even if you have lots and lots of them. If you want to do the pinning thing, you don't want 60 troops. You want like 100 troops, and try and really maximize the pinning thing. But that isn't. The other side of the Rite of War is, this is one thing that Iron Warriors can do that no one else can do. It is Sicarans and Predators and vehicles, any vehicles that take shaken or stunned results, it ignores them.
Ignores them, yeah.
It takes the whole point and ignores them. On Predators, so if your vehicle gets shaken, it can only snap fire next turn. So hit on 6s, right?
Yeah.
There's only a couple of vehicles that ignore that. Reinforced vehicles, so Vindicators, Land Raiders, Spartans. Reinforced vehicles, if they take the hits, they take the whole points, but they ignore the snap fire. They can still fire. But Sicarans and Predators, your Predators, for example, in any other army, if they take any glancing hits, any shaken results, their snap. Yours ignore that. They're still firing at full ballistic skill. Those las cannons are still firing. The other thing is, stunned results even lock reinforced vehicles in place. You get a stunned result on a vehicle. Normally it's snap firing and can't move. Even on a reinforced vehicle, it is now it isn't snap firing on reinforced vehicles. It can still fire at full ballistic skill, but it can't move because it's stunned in place. But your Land Raider ignores that. You ignored the stunned results as well. The true strength in that Rite of War is the fact your Legion can do something that no other Legions can do. All your vehicles ignore shaken stun results. They're firing their guns at full effect all the time. Your Land Raider can't be stunned in place. Your Predators can't be stunned in place. They're firing.
Okay. So basically what we're saying is, we've got to bring back all those masses of Iron Warriors troops. And we want to get as many tracks with big guns on there as we can get in. And we want to stand back and we want to blast everything to oblivion.
So it starts. Yes, so it starts there with a scoring HQ in a Land Raider and some Predators, or not in a Land Raider, and more Predators with las cannons but firing away. Those vehicles are the only ones I've actually got in the list at this time because you put Levar, but they're good. There's some long range guns. Also in your heavy, in your troop. So in the, and they score your thingy bob scores. So those guys on foot score. In the heavy slot as well, you put 1 Leviathan. I said 2. If you've got 2, put 2 in there. So Leviathans are strong, but they can be stopped. Normally when I run 2 of them, one of them will get stopped before it gets to your opponent's deployment zone, but the other one will get there. So 1 Leviathan, if you're bringing a Leviathan, bring 2. One of them will get stopped. And you put it with the Cyclonic Melt Lance, it's probably the best option. You don't want the Siege Drill on it, you just want the normal Brutal thing, because it'll do what it does. The normal Brutal Claw is Brutal 3, the Siege Drill will only do... The Siege Drill is specifically designed for killing vehicles. The Siege Claw can kill everything.
Yeah, okay.
So I would put 2 Leviathan Dreadnoughts, both with Cyclonic Melt Lancers, both with Siege Claws, and send them right up the gut. Is another reason why for doing that. If your opponent's got 2 Leviathan Dreadnoughts coming down towards you, they need to deal with that to get to the soft meat behind. Because I haven't really put any proper assaulty unit. I mean, there is your command squad there, but they're a mop-up unit.
Yeah.
They're not like 20 veterans coming at you, 20 Terminators coming at you, 20 Dark Furies coming at you. Your Leviathans are your forward punch. They're your distraction Carnifexes. You start them here, they move 6, they can't run, So they're going, because they're heavy, they can't run. They move 6 and 6 and 6. They move through cover, so they're not slowed. And you just push them straight at the enemy. And they'll deal with one of them, and then the other one will hit stuff and will wreck face. So they are keeping people back from your heavy guns. That's your second heavy slot.
Yep.
And then in your third heavy slot, 10 Tyrant Siege Terminators, and this is where we got dirty.
Yeah.
This is where my mind got really dirty. So, I put a banner in the command squad and made them score.
Yep.
Second HQ slot, a Herald with the 10 Tyrant Siege Terminators, they score.
Okay.
Everything I put on this list on foot scores for you. I went from 3 scoring options to 6. So the banner in the command squad scores, the Herald in the 10 Tyrant Siege Terminators score. They stay at the back. I know they've all got power fists, but they stay at the back shooting all the time, because in your third slot, you put an Armistos and you give them heavy armor. The Armistos heavy armor, I think he comes with heavy armor anyway. Basically, a tech marine, like a tech marine with a pad.
I was going to say, what is an Armistos? What is that?
So, Armistos is the guy who looks after the guns. That's what he is. Master of the armory, Armistos. He's the master of the armory. So like a tech marine, he's right, he does come in heavy armor. Have you seen those Forge World tech marines with that weird, like 2-up save armor?
Yeah.
Imagine a guy like that. You can convert him, you can make him out of puck, whatever. You stick him at the back, and that's your 3 HQs with your Tartarus Siege Terminators. Now, the reason why you've done this is there's 2 reasons. There's a couple of reasons, actually. And you don't give him any weapons, or actually give him a hammer. Give your banner guy a hammer, give your Armistos guy a hammer, because they're going to be the last 2 that you take away. And if your Tyrant Siege Terminators do get assaulted by something, which would be crazy, mind you, if they get whittled down so there's only 2 or 3 of them left, then someone might want to assault it with something big and nasty. Then you've got 2 guys with hammers who are weapon skill 5. So if you're getting hit by any proper elite stuff, which is weapon skill 5, you've got 2 hammers coming back. That's 6 hammer attacks. Hammer on those guys. Great stuff. But they're there to add close combat punch if they get assaulted, the Armistos. The Armistos also doesn't shoot. He has a pad. He has a hammer. Don't give him a gun. He gives up his shooting, and it means your Tyrant Siege Terminators hit on 2s.
Okay.
Instead of 3s.
That is big.
He also gives them night fighting, because they're staying at the back 48 inches away. Night fighting means you can't shoot anything over 24 inches.
Unless you're a Night Lord.
Now you can shoot over 24. You ignore the night fighting rule.
Yep.
So now you're shooting at 48 inches, ignoring night fighting, hitting on 2s, and because you ignore night fighting, the thing that you're shooting at cannot shroud, cannot take cover from it.
Wow, okay.
So the reaction you're just blasting stuff.
So you're firing crack missiles, I assume, at Terminators?
At strength 8, AP3, 48-inch range. I know they're only AP3, but they're hitting on 2s and they're strength 8. And if you're not firing them at Terminators, if you're firing them at tanks or dreadnoughts, they're strength 9. They're +1 strength because Iron Warriors.
Yeah.
Now, here's the other thing. He also gives them a free intercept reaction. So if anyone deep strikes around you, those people that you're scared about, he's shooting them in their turn for free. Hitting on 2s and he can't take cover.
Him himself or the whole unit of...
He doesn't shoot. He gives this...
So the tyrants...
For 75 points, 15 points for the hammer. For 90 points, he gives the tyrants all these abilities. He gives them night fighting, hitting on 2s. You can't take cover from it. Free intercept reaction.
So if someone comes in, they get 10 crack missiles.
20. They have 2 shots each.
To the face.
Yes.
Just straight away.
Yes. And then if someone charges you, say they deep strike in, well, I've got a 2-up save. You're only AP3. I'll have my 2-up saves. You fire them 20 times. It'll double anything out because it's strength 8. Yeah. And then if they charge you, you overwatch them hitting on 2s again and do it all again. And then when they get in combat, you've got power fists on all your Tyrant Siege Terminators and 2 hammers, 1 on your banner and 1 on your die, and you kill them. I would make your rock at the back. It is so Iron Warriors. It's so you've got a banner with the guy at the back. You've got a banner with the guy in the Land Raider. Banners flapping in the breeze. Big guns firing, and it scores, and they score. You'd keep your HQ around. Absolutely brutal. That's what I would do. Tyrant Siege Terminators are unique to Iron Warriors. They can only take them If I did Iron Warriors, I'd have 10. Why not have a squad of 10?
Okay.
Make it a really expensive rock in the back of 10. Here's the other thing. If you shoot at that unit, you're never going to be shrouding. The Herald means you're fearless. You're immune to morale tests, which means you also can't shroud and take cover. Which kind of sucks, but not. Because what you're going to do is if anyone shoots at them, you're going to return fire.
Yeah.
Okay? And you're going to pick a Warlord trait where you have 2 reactions in the shooting phase. Your Iron Warriors, you want to shoot more. So there's Warlord traits because you get a reaction in the movement phase, reaction in the shooting phase, reaction in the assault phase, right?
Yeah.
And your Warlord trait unlocks one of those to be able to shoot, to do things twice, either 2 in the assault phase or 2 in the movement phase. Or 2. So Raven Guard want 2 reactions in the movement phase.
Yeah.
Because they're Raven Guard. Emperor's Children, Sons of Horus wants 2 reactions in the assault phase because they're assaulty. You want 2 reactions in the shooting phase. So you're going to get a reaction somewhere, shrouding or whatever. But these Tyrant Siege Terminators are going to, if anyone shoots them, you're going to return fire. So you're shooting in your turn.
Yeah.
And if anyone shoots them in their turn, you're shooting them back in their turn as well.
And if they decide they don't want to shoot them, they want to come in, you're going to shoot them again.
Exactly. Here's the thing, though.
Maybe twice.
If I'm a unit of Predators, I am not shooting your Tyrant Siege Terminators because 20 shots back hitting on 2s that I can't shroud with, those Predators are dead.
Yeah.
If I'm a Land Raider, I'm not shooting at your things because I know it's only 6s to... I know you need 6s to wound against the Land Raider, but there's 20 shots coming back. Yeah. If I'm a Dreadnought, I'm not shooting them. And another reason why I'm not shooting them is because Iron Warriors have their once per game advanced reaction, which is an infantry unit, not your tanks, can return fire twice. So that's 40 shots coming out, hitting on 2s from your Tyrant Siege Terminators. There's a game that I played against Steve, not Rob, with my Raven Guard, and in the last 2 turns of the game, I pretended that my Raven Guard had run out of guns and didn't shoot at his unit of 10 Tyrant Siege Terminators because it was in the dying ends of the battle, and I know I've got this unit here that could shoot at them, but I'm not shooting them because he would just return fire and obliterate them, and I did that twice. I just didn't target them because they're that scary.
Yeah.
So I would make your Tyrant Siege Terminators like an anvil around the rest of which your army rotates. You've got this rock at the back that you don't want to shoot because the return fire is frightening. The best thing that your opponent will do is wait for you to shoot them so they return fire into you. But again, you can get whittled away and whittled away and whittled away and whittled away until there's only a couple of guys left, because this is your backfield objective holding unit with your Armistos, with your guy with the banner. They hold on to that, which frees up your troops units and your other units to push out and stop stuff coming in and assaulting you. You've got 2 Leviathans going up the table. You've got some Predators and Land Raiders shooting up the table as well. Then I put in 2 units of 10 shrapnel bolter guys, a unit of 10 here and a unit of 10 here. They're mainly for move blocking, and I gave you a Rhino, so because I can't tell you the number of times that 10 tactical Marines in a Rhino has won me the game.
Yeah.
So many times because they've zipped round the edge, or they've come on from reserve, or they've 10 here is people say, what's the most powerful unit in Horus Heresy right now?
Yep.
Phalanx Warden Terminators or Contemptor Dreadnoughts. Or the most powerful unit in Horus Heresy right now is 10 tactical Marines and a Rhino. They've won me so many games.
Just for the pure scoring potential.
Just because of the pure scoring potential. So both of those units score. Then here's the essential thing in your list that you're missing.
Right.
2 units of 5 scouts with shotguns.
Yep.
The reason why you've got these guys in here because they can infiltrate and they scout and they score. They're not in your compulsory slot. They're troops. They're in your non-compulsory slot, but they score. The reason why you've got there is you don't have... They're the guys that you infiltrate in and then scout 9 inches before the lines, and they're also holding your opponent back. If you've got first turn, you can scout them so they're only 9 inches away from your enemy and then run them forward in a line and keep your enemy right back in turn 1. And in turn 1, you shoot the enemy, and then in their turn 1, they've got to get through 5 scouts.
Yeah.
Or 5 scouts. The other thing you can do with 5 infiltrating scouts is put them out on the flanks here or there, particularly if you're worried about deep striking stuff. Another thing you can do with outflanking scouts is infiltrate, Scout confers infiltrate as well. You can hold them in reserve and infiltrate round the back. You don't have any movement potential in your list. You've got 10 Tyrant Siege Terminators on foot, 2 Leviathan Dreadnoughts on foot. You've got the tank zipping around all over the place, a couple of troops zipping around all over the place. You don't have any movement shenanigans. You're not allowed any movement shenanigans in your list, by the way. One of the restrictions is you must bring a Warsmith, and you can't have any outflank. You can't have outflank, actually. You can't have deep strike. You can't have any of that shenanigans. You can only have normal reserve stuff. So you're not allowed any deep strike, outflank shenanigans. You're not allowed any of that. So where is your movement shenanigans in this list? Where is your movement wins you games? The only options that you have are through scouting and infiltrating at the start, because you can't outflank and you can't deep strike, but you can infiltrate and you can scout. So they're your movement shenanigans, which you need, which you really need in a Shooty Iron Warriors list. So those 2 units of 5 scouts, they score. The 2 units of troops, one of which in a Rhino, they score. The 10 Tyrant Siege Terminators, they score. And the command squad scores.
It's like everything can score, basically.
Everything on your infantry has a line. And so on those where you need to take objectives, which is about 2/3 of the missions, you score. Yeah. And for those missions where you need to kill line stuff, your enemy has to kill every single thing on foot to stop you doing that. Yeah. Backing that up, Las Cannon Land Raider, Las Cannon Predators, 2 Leviathans running up the table, and you had points left over. So I slotted in a Contemptor Dreadnought. And there's a special weapon that you can have only on a Contemptor Dreadnought, which is for Iron Warriors, which is some kind of crazy
graviton
mace. And it's not very good, to be honest. Yeah. It's only brutal 2 on a Contemptor, but I paid and put it on there as well. And with the weapons loadouts I gave you, it was bang on 3,000 points. Yeah. But I put it on there because he could take it. You can take Silent Siege Terminators, so I'm taking them. You can put a Graviton Mace on a Dreadnought, so I'm taking it, because they're telling me you can do it. So they're telling me that's what Iron Warriors did, so I did do it. Shrapnel Bolters, tactical guys, sure, I've got a couple of them. Yeah. And it's leaning into the Iron Warriors' ability to shoot, to keep the enemy back with your scouts and Leviathans, and to keep shooting all the time as much as possible.
Wear them down to nothing.
Shrapnel bolters might pin something, but it's not really about that. It's your tanks aren't going to be immobilized or shaken, so they're still shooting and still shooting and still shooting all the time. That's where the strength of that Rite of War is. Okay. And the Armistos with the Herald in. If I would change it at all, I would look at taking the Leviathans out and just adding. It would be more filthy because you've got 580 points of Leviathans there. It would be even more filthy to take the Leviathans out and just put more Predators with las cannons in, like 2 units of 2 or a unit of 3 and a unit, even more Predators with all the las cannons, and then buy more troops. Have another unit of 10 tactical Marines somewhere. If you want to tone it down a little bit, get rid of the Leviathans, chuck in more las cannons. Apparently it's toning it down, but it's Leviathans. But I feel like you want it's not the super strongest list. I did come up with a more filthy one, a really filthy one, but when you sent the text through, I really thought about it. I scrubbed the first one because it got really dirty. I thought, no, this is the sort of list that I would build, that is strong, that will do you well. It's an 80% list. It should win more games than it loses. There are Achilles heels to it, which we can talk about in another podcast or privately or when you come around play test the thing. But there's a couple of things that you can pick it apart if you're a skilled or experienced Horus Heresy player. There's ways to pick it apart. But generally speaking, it's strong. Yeah.
Without being the full cheese fondue.
It can be a lot. I mean, the 10 Tyrant Siege Terminators with a banner and Armistos is a pretty cheesy.
Yeah, okay.
However, 10 Tyrant Siege Terminators, they can take that. It's like someone turning around to you and saying, I'm Sons of Horus and you can't bring Touch Toss Terran Terminators, or I'm Raven Guard and you can't bring Dark Furies. Why wouldn't you bring a unit of 10 Tyrant Siege Terminators? Why wouldn't you make them score? Why not? Yeah. Why not give them a banner? I know they can't shroud, but you're just returning fire all the time. Adding the Armistos, who's a 90-point upgrade to give them all of those things, that's dirty. That's the filthy part. But the Armistos, if you read what the Armistos is, the only word that they're missing in the Armistos thing is this guy is an Iron Warrior. He basically is an Iron Warrior. They're the Iron Warriors bring the big guns and tear the fortress down, and the Armistos is the guy who's done it on 1,000 battlefields on 100 different worlds and has ran the algorithm, which is why they're hitting on twos and you can't take knife on it. He's the guy that's done it. He was a Tyrant Siege Terminator for the first 100 years of the Great Crusade. There are some of the Centurions in there that are clearly aimed towards certain legions.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And the Armistos and the Forge Lord are the two that are aimed squarely at Iron Warriors.
Yeah.
So I would put him in there because it's Iron Warriors.
Yeah. So basically what I want to say to wrap this up, in summary, if you're not playing Iron Warriors, I think there's probably some really good advice you can still take from that, from the mindset of it. The first one we've already mentioned. You need to play to the strength of your legion. Yeah, you need to do that. That's something that I hadn't really thought about. I was trying to be fluffy in terms of, oh yeah, I want lots of guys who just like shooting and stuff. But really, what are Iron Warriors? They are the siege masters, right?
Yes.
Siege,
they bring the big guns.
Yeah, that's what you do. Big guns. You're gonna struggle if people get into your lines with powerful melee. That's where you're gonna struggle. So your gameplay is keeping the big guns firing as much as you can,
which is why you got two Leviathans, a command squad that can run around, and why you've put hammers on the guys in the back, that you've made them as strong as you can to help mitigate against that flaw.
Because I have no dedicated melee unit. It's not built into my army. So look at what you've got. Look at how you can capitalize on your strengths as a legion, and then also think ahead. How many scoring units can you viably get in there? Because ultimately you're going to need to score points. You're not just going to be standing there trying to trade blows for the win.
You need to be able to take objectives or take zones.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more annoying than Horus Heresy in having a unit over here on foot scurrying around and they can't actually score that zone at all. Or they can't actually line break your thing. They can't actually... Again, when I was learning the first 6 months or so, that popped up a lot. These days, most of the stuff that I've got on foot can score. So on those 1 in 5 occasions where you need that unit to score, it does score. It doesn't come up a lot, but it will come up enough that you don't want to think about that. That's another thing that you don't need to ever think about, Chris. It'll be... Does that unit score or not? You just know that everything can score.
Yeah.
That's on foot. It
Which
just
is great.
That's another thing that you don't need to think about in the Fists of Battle. So yeah, what does your Legion do? Have I enough scoring units? Have I got a unit of troops in a Rhino? And what does your Legion do better or differently than anyone else?
Yeah.
Lean into it. I've found... The more I lean into the Legion traits and what they do, not only does your Legion, your force, feel like the books, not only does it, but it performs better. It's strange, both narratively and game-wise. It just gets better. The story sings more, and it's weird. It's such a good rule set that it's designed that way.
Yeah, and I feel like if you're going up against that Iron Warrior list. And you're a fan of the lore and the books and everything, you're like, okay, the Iron Warriors are parked over there. We're getting hit by these huge thuds of las cannons and everything everywhere. Let's take the fight to them. Let's try and shut down their... You know, they've got... You can narratively figure out how to shut that down as well. Because I'm here trying to besiege. I'm here as a siege force, and the only way to do that is to ride out and meet the siege head on, or weather it.
I would love to try and pick that force off from the sides with the White Scars or Raven Guard lists dancing around the edges, or an Alpha Legion list doing some shenanigans. Try and pick at the weak bits here or there. It's a nice little puzzle to try and get to. Getting the right assault units into the right units at the right time to try and pick you apart.
Well, that'll be the next one for many months' time. I also have all the bits and pieces for Alpha Legion as well. So
nice.
But no, Iron Warriors is what I'm going for, and I'm going to be getting as much of that together as I can. And you might even see that, might be able to do that at some point next year. Actually have this list on the table and give it a blast. But
What do you think of that? Having thought about your list and my list, does that get your juices flowing?
Oh, big time,
Chris.
Absolutely. I don't have all of the things that you've said, but I have such a better image of what I should be aiming for now.
Nice.
And it's definitely something I can work towards. And and I've got to take a step back, build a siege force that's going to besiege people. Let's do it. I've got a great idea. I'm going to take stock of everything I've got after this, and I'll see what I can get going.
Yeah, siege force with as many guns as you can bring to bear, with some close combat protection, basically to keep your guns shooting.
Yeah.
That's what Iron Warriors want to do, and that's what they do in the books.
Yes. I'd be interested here as well. Do you enjoy us talking about some real helpful stuff? Because that could be another thing as well. If people have more want to know more about other forces or how to build stuff, we can always have a little look at that and have a little think about it and have a little chat about it. It'd be good. So yeah. We've gone. Oh my god, this is a bumper episode. Bumper episode.
I got carried away at the end there. Sorry.
No, it's good. It's actually it's like paying for it's like premium tutor stuff. You know, some people out there
pay money for that.
Yeah, they do.
They pay money for the list building thing or the coaching thing. They like £500 a year or I don't know.
Yeah, you can get it. You can get it for free right here on the STC. And remember as well.
Someone's going to ask the question, aren't they? Hey, I've got this list idea. What do you think, Winter? Yeah. They're going to get £500 of brilliant... Yeah.
Yeah, but the important thing is that Winters plays a lot more Warhammer than the average person. So his advice is generally well worth listening to. So Sometimes. You can see how passionate... Like, half an hour ago, you could see it. You could see it. Brewery, he was ready to go. So no, but I really appreciate it, and I appreciate everyone who's tuned in to watch us go on and ramble about stuff. We should probably mention that this is going to happen in the title, shouldn't we? Because I think otherwise yeah. All right,
well, what is the title?
Iron Warriors premium £500 worth of Iron Warriors tactics.
£500 of Iron Warriors tactics. Is that what you want it to be? Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Am I really putting that in the title?
Yeah, I'm
writing it down.
We'll find out. Yeah, he's gonna.
Okay, we'll talk off.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's. I mean, I like the. Yeah, that's a good start.
Yeah,
something like that. Anyway, we'll let you go.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in.
By. We need to stop, otherwise I'll keep talking about Iron Warriors lists.
Love you. Thank you.
Because honestly, the first list that you get, thank you.
It was
with
it was bad. It was
3 units of.
I see it now.
I like the idea. The idea is a nice idea because when you get the book and you look at it and you press the thing and it seems like a nice idea, but really the rubber needs to.